Bill, I want to play another soundbite. It is Benjamin Netanyahu, and the question that's being addressed to him is about the Presbyterian Church USA and the fact that they're boycotting, divesting, the whole 9 yards. And the response that Netanyahu gives to the journalist who's quizzing him, I think is brilliant, and it sums up just about everything in the proper way.
As peace talks have stalled between you and the Palestinian Authority, there's been new pressure from some religious groups. The Presbyterians in the United States have just passed a decision, voted to divest its holdings in companies that do business with Israel, that sell products to Israel that they claim are used in the course of the occupation of the Palestinians. How troubling is this to you? Do you think there'll be other Protestant denominations that follow suit?
It should trouble all people of conscience and morality because it's so disgraceful. You look at what's happening in the Middle East, and I think most Americans understand this. They see this enormous area riveted by religious hatred, by savagery of unimaginable proportions. Then you come to Israel and you see the one democracy that upholds basic human rights, that guards the rights of all minorities, that protects Christians. Christians are persecuted throughout the Middle East. So most Americans understand that Israel is a beacon of civilization and moderation. I would suggest to this Presbyterian organizations to fly to the Middle East, come and see Israel for the embattled democracy that it is, and then take a bus tour. Go to Libya, go to Syria, go to Iraq, and see the difference. And I would give them two pieces of advice. One is make sure it's an armor-plated bus. And second, don't say that you're Christians.
Bill Koenig, isn't that the truth, though? Here, the Presbyterians and others, there's been others who have boycotted and divested and all of that. Where's the outcry against the North Koreans or the Libyans or the Syrians? You don't hear it. It's only about the Israelis.
Oh, absolutely. And Benjamin Netanyahu could not have put it better.
I know.
Absolutely awesome. And fortunately, it went viral. It's been all over the world, Jan. And I know you and I were pleased that he said what he said because it's just the bottom line. I mean, here, the Arab Spring, Obama and Hillary Clinton's Arab Spring, and one that Obama's really got behind, has created the most radicalized Islamic movement throughout this whole region, beyond anything we've ever seen. The persecution of Christians in country after country after country throughout the Middle East has never been worse. It is horrific, some of the things that the Christians are experiencing throughout this region. And Benjamin Netanyahu knows what it's like to be here in this region, and I think more churches need to be focused on what's taking place to Christians and what's happening to Christians, and keep out of this conflict because they don't fully understand. And plus, we know this is part of the replacement theology church that doesn't understand the biblical significance of Judea and Samaria.
I want to play one more soundbite and get your response to it and see if you agree with this. This is Colonel Ralph Peters. He's a Fox News contributor, and I believe he's a strategic analyst, and it's his comment on Iraq. And basically what he's going to say in 40 seconds is that it's gone, it's lost. There's nothing we can do, even though we lost thousands of men and others were maimed and harmed in very serious ways. Ralph Peters is saying it's over. I'd like your response after we hear this.
What's the answer, Colonel?
Well, first of all, John Kerry, Secretary Kerry, needs to start dealing with reality. The State Department's obsession with lines on a map is doing us ill service. I mean, Kerry's running all over Iraq trying to persuade the various players to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Bill, Iraq is done, finished, gone. It's over. We can't reconcile these people. The hatreds are too deep.
Bill Koenig, your response to that?
There's so much truth to that. Right off the top, Obama and Kerry want to see Maliki step down. He's not going to step down. Maliki's got a long time hatred of the Sunnis. He's marginalized them as much as possible. This has helped radicalize the Sunnis. The Kurds want to be independent and left out of this whole mix. So as if a new leader, a Shiite leader, is going to bring Iraq back together and put it all back together, it's just not going to happen. Iran is actively involved behind the scenes in this. There's even some words here that some of Assad's top people that used to be with him in Syria have infiltrated the ISIS. So in some ways, according to Dory Gold's think tank here in Jerusalem, is that Iran, as clever and strategic as they are working both sides against the middle. And they are determined for this Iranian caliphate. And Iran is much better positioned inside the country. Most of the oil in Iraq is in the Basra area of southern Iraq. The Kurds have a ton of oil. and the Sunnis don't have a lot of oil, and that's the radicals. So, yeah, there's so many other. This is just part of a jam, but this thing is so deep, so complex. Only the God of Israel knows how this is going to play out.